Hello, welcome back to my channel, Bow and Arrow Tarot. Today we're going to get right into the weekly love outlook for Capricorn. All right, my Capricorns, you're up. And this is going to be an outlook into a situation that you have with someone else. So it's not just a general love outlook into your love life, but it is an outlook into a particular connection that you have that is on your mind or important to you this week. All right, guys, so I've already been shuffling off camera, so we're going to get right into cutting your deck and pulling out your cards and the cards for your person. All right, so Capricorn for March 1st to the 8th. Looking at a particular connection they have with someone. Your person is resonating with temperance and you are resonating with strength. All right, Sagittarius and Leo cards. Your person sees you as a 7 of Swords and you see them as a 5 of Pentacles. They see the relationship and their part in it as a Knight of Swords, and you see the relationship and your part in it as a Knight of Cups. Well, wow. Okay, at the bottom of the deck we have 7 of Cups. So delusional thinking, pie in the sky, unrealistic expectations about relationships coming to the fore. Well, you have 2 knights is how you see yourself. So you certainly are resonating to a certain degree with that same energy for yourselves as the other person does for themselves. But let's get right into it, Capricorn. We have for you your person resonating with temperance energy and you're resonating with strength. So your person is really feeling right now very sort of in control, very tempered, and in a lot of ways, so are you. Strength and temperance have a lot in common, right? And of course, strength is the card for Leo, but Sagittarius and Leo are neither here nor there. Temperance is the ability to remain in control of your actions, and in control of yourself, right? Your actions, your outlooks, your ideas, etc. In the face of external energies that may be impacting you. So you're not going to get thrown off your square because of what people say or the energies that are around you. You remain sort of whole and in control, and this is temperance. Whereas strength is all about remaining in control despite your internal energy. So your emotions, right? Not allowing your own emotions to rule today, to make you choose or make you act in a way that is not the way you really want to be acting, right? So you're remaining in control despite your internal feelings, whereas temperance is remaining in control despite the external energies around them. Nevertheless, it's about control. And it's interesting that your person and you both would be very much sort of in a space right now, Capricorn, where you both are trying to maintain your control and your autonomy, right? The authority over yourself and your own actions. And in this way, you're very, very similar energies, right? Now, how you guys see each other. Here it gets interesting. Your person sees you as a 7 of Swords. You see them as 5 of Pentacles. Well, 7 of Swords is a feeling of futility, right? They see you almost like someone who's kind of running around with their head cut off, like you don't really know what you're doing, right? 7 of Swords is the sort of the hare and the tortoise story in a lot of ways. But for them to see you this way is interesting. It is also the card for treachery. I wonder if perhaps they feel that you've done something to them, or they may be listening to outside influences. Again, temperance is all about remaining in control despite of everything that's going on around you, right? However, they do very much feel and see you as someone who is not really putting their best foot forward, right? Someone who is sort of not accomplishing what they set out to. They see you as kind of not being in control very much at all. You're resonating with strength. You see them also in a similar sort of, also in a predicament, different, but also in a predicament. You see that they are struggling right now to overcome a divide or a split, a power divide that's really left them having to pick up the pieces. So there's some really strong opinions here between the two of you. And this could very well be because of a split that has happened between the two of you. It could be that, you know, things are happening around you guys that are affecting you, despite the fact that your person is trying very much to be temperate. They see themselves as being temperate, but then again, this is how we see ourselves. It may not be how the rest of the world sees us, right? And so they may feel like they're not reacting, and you may feel like you're also very much controlling your emotions, but it seems like you guys are such a mirror of each other. You know, they'd see you as not necessarily being in that much control, acting in such a way that is not really positive or progressive or that's going to get you anywhere. And you see them also as struggling, right? Struggling to pick up the pieces after a falling out. And, you know, perhaps to a certain degree, you see them as not being very temperate at all. And when we get back to the Seven of Cups in terms of an over-idealized relationship or unrealistic expectations, this could very well be that both of you are simply not communicating the way you think you are. It feels very much like you and your person have separate ideas of what this relationship is supposed to be, and both of you are being very unrealistic. Right. It's almost as if both of you are sort of being very sort of severe, judgmental. You may, although, you know, your person shouldn't be allowing outside influences to affect them to a certain degree, I believe that they are, because they're seeing you as the Seven of Swords. And I think that that is probably down to a lot of gossip or talking or bad communication that's gone on. And the same thing for you. You know, you, although you're trying not to be emotional, trying not to let your emotions rule you, to a certain degree, you're seeing your person as really struggling, and it may be pulling on your emotions in a way that you don't want it to, despite the fact that you're seeing yourself as being very strong. Right? You may be feeling for them or feeling sorry for them because of what they're going through to a certain degree. And so that is still impacting your decisions. And therefore, your emotions are still kind of in control. Very, very much a mirror of each other, but just slightly different. Now, how you guys see the relationship and your parts in the relationship. So this is quite interesting. You both are resonating with Knight energy. Knights are always air, but with Knight of Swords, we have air of air, and Knight of Cups, we have air of water. Well, your person is seeing themselves as the one who's really fighting for the relationship, who's really having to do all of the work. This may be, you know, this makes a little bit of sense, especially if they're seeing you as being the one who is resonating with all this futile energy. You know, Seven of Swords is futility. And so if they believe that whatever you're doing is just not working, and they're the ones who have to come to save the day all the time, right? It's like they feel that they're the ones with the right ideas. They're the ones with the right drive, right? They're the ones who are communicating all of this, right? And I don't think they see you as necessarily being in that role. They see themselves in that role. And you are resonating with yourself as a Knight of Cups in this relationship. So you feel as though you're the one who's really having to bring all of the emotional support. You're the one who's always reaching out to them, you know, to try to get them to sort of communicate with you, to exchange that cup of love, right? And so you both see each other as being a very sort of strong driving force in the relationship, but in very, very different ways. It almost feels as though there's a little bit of contempt there, right? And it could be that, again, I wonder if this is really because of bad communication and really unrealistic ideas about what this relationship was supposed to be in the first place, right, Capricorn? You know, this is very much a feeling of you guys seeing each other, but not really getting to know each other or talking to each other in the right way. And I think you're both sort of, to a certain degree, being influenced by the outside, right? Like, so you're, in a lot of ways, you're seeing them from the outside and what they're going through, and that's really leaving a mark on your opinion of them. And they are seeing it the same way based on outside influences. They see that you are perhaps resonating with this kind of futile, treacherous energy. And I think that that's not necessarily because of anything you've done per se, but more so because of communication that has come in some way. Perhaps people interfering, gossiping, backstabbing you, telling your partner or your person one thing, you know, and it just seems to be, again, A feeling of being on different pages. Quite a few of the weekly's love outlooks have really highlighted that a couple of us out there are really dealing with people where the love may be there, the feelings may be there, but you are certainly on different pages when it comes to the outlook of the relationship or the intentions you have for your role in the relationship. You know, it's like the mechanics of the relationship is not falling in line. And love may indeed be there, connection may indeed be there, but everything else surrounding it is making it very difficult for the actual relationship itself to progress and to sort of go further, get deeper, right? Your person has Princess of Cups, interesting, and the Seven of Wands. So there is your Valor card. They definitely feel like they're the ones bringing it. You have a Ten of Wands and a Fool. So, Princess of Cups is all about sort of being very practical in love, you know, showing your love in a very earthy, practical way. They definitely see themselves as the one who's doing a lot of the work. I think they feel as though they're the ones having to deal with the day-to-day activities, keeping this relationship on the rails in a day-to-day way. They see the Seven of Wands as their card, so they feel as though very much like it's them against the rest of the world. You know, again, it doesn't feel connected. It doesn't feel like you guys necessarily have each other's back. And it almost feels to me like this type of energy could, after a while, could lead to resentment and contempt, because you both seem to have a kind of disillusioned idea of the other one. Again, Seven of Cups is delusion. It's having a very rosy outlook on something that isn't quite so rosy, or having this perfect idealized vision of a relationship or something like that isn't like that. And it could very well be that you guys have, to a certain degree, over idealized each other, and now that you're realizing each person that you're both just regular people, it's almost as if you may be throwing the baby out with the bathwater, right? Yes, there may be some issues here with communication. There may be some issues with other people interfering, but it's like, until you guys come together and see eye to eye and recognize each other's sort of strengths that you're bringing to the table and weaknesses where you can help each other, you're only going to grow further apart. You're only going to be, see each other more and more differently, right? There's a separation growing, certainly. Ten of Wands and the Fool is what you're resonating with, Capricorn. Well, Ten of Wands is a feeling of letting go, the oppression. You feel very pressured. You feel really sort of put upon in a lot of ways. And again, this could be just that their attitude about things, certainly with this Knight of Swords and Seven of Wands, they definitely have a very idealized attitude of themselves, right? But it could be that they're just putting way too much pressure on you to be someone that you're not. And Ten of Wands is a feeling of just wanting to let it go. Too much burden, too much responsibility, too much pressure, burdens that aren't really yours to carry or to bear, yet you've been bearing them. And that's really how you feel, and I think that, again, this is, it's a shame, because it does feel like there is a strong connection here, a strong love connection perhaps even, but simply, just like, it's as if both of you are wearing different color glasses, and it's like, or the wrong prescription, you know what I mean? And it's like, you're not seeing the real picture and they're not seeing the real you. And if you guys would just take off those glasses, or take off whatever is coating your sort of impression of each other, and see each other for who you really are, this relationship or this connection could actually become more grounded and work towards something progressive. Whereas here, it just seems to be more and more disappointment. You continually seem to disappoint each other with, like, the fake version of each other. Not that either of you are being fake, but you're certainly not seeing the real person, right? The Fool is here, and you're really feeling very much like you want something new and fresh. You're done with the oppression here. This Ten of Wands, you're just ready to lay it down. And the Fool, of course, talks about wanting to take a leap of faith and move forward. Certainly the Fool oftentimes also represents a time in your life where you're about to enter into a new stage or a new path, whether you like it or not. You know, the Fool is very much sometimes has the same sort of imminent sort of impression that the Death card does, right? The Death in tarot doesn't mean a real death, but it is for sure. You know, nothing is as sure as death and taxes, right, in America. But it's sure, and it's definitely happening. The same thing with the Fool. When the Fool shows up in your reading, whether you're ready or not, whether you have that leap of faith or not, you are about to enter into a new era in your life, a new stage in your life. And it's really all about how you embrace that. And I think that to a certain degree, Capricorn, you are embracing that, right? You are embracing that right now, in the sense that you're certainly sending out into the universe a desire to have something different, a desire to have a different kind of connection, or certainly a connection that is more really unified rather than two people who are together, but, you know, to a certain degree, really at odds with each other. You're both so similar, Capricorn. You know, temperance and strength are very similar energies, and you both have nights that you sort of see yourself as with regard to the relationship. So it's almost like a case of like, are you guys too much like each other? Are you too similar to a certain degree, right? Temperance and strength could certainly indicate that there isn't a lot of communication going on, and that you guys are very much retreating to each other's corner, to your own corner, and kind of digging in, right? Let me pull out your romance angel messages. Pay attention to red flags. Yeah, well. Let's see. One more message from the romance angels. And calling in your soulmate. Well, there it is, right? So again, pay attention to red flags. Calling in your soulmate feels like this is a real message for you, Capricorn, in the sense that, again, the Fool is there. You're ready for something new. You're ready for a true soulmate connection. I'm not sure that this one is the one. It may have started off with a lot of love and attraction and magnetism and all of that. But nevertheless, it's like you find yourselves at such odds with each other, and you both are seemingly unwilling to change that opinion of the other person. Again, I think it very much started from having a very fairy tale outlook, a very unrealistic outlook on what this connection could possibly be. And you're both a little bit disappointed. So paying attention to red flags is definitely on the table for you in terms of realizing, you know, when enough is enough, when you've had enough of a connection. Again, red flags are there, certainly here. You both are kind of looking at each other as a victim of some kind, or someone who certainly isn't resonating with the best possible positive energy. And of course, calling in your soulmate. And I think that this is really like you, a desire that you have that the angels are picking up on. And they realize that you certainly do want to call in your soulmate. You, by the way, you do see yourself as a Knight of Cups. So you see yourself in the relationship as the one who has love to give, who wants to exchange a cup of love. I think in this particular scenario, Capricorn, you are seeing, or you, from your point of view, certainly you feel as though that it's the other person who's being a little bit too sort of opinionated and too idealized and too sort of critical, right? In the way that they see you and in the way that they see their own role. Whereas you see yourself as really wanting to bridge that gap more with that Knight of Cups, right? Nevertheless, I'm just going to say this is it, Capricorn. I'm going to really leave it here because this is up in the air. Again, calling in your soulmate and paying attention to red flags. I'm not saying that this relationship is doomed to break up or anything like that. This is just a 1 week outlook into one connection that you may have, Capricorn. But it's certainly, if anything, there is a lot of communication that needs to be had. And paying attention to red flags can also be paying attention to any outside influences, people, or forces that may be trying to impact this connection, right? Or interfere with this connection. That is also a red flag to watch out for, because it feels strongly like that is one of the energies here that's really affecting both you and your person's inability to see each other for who you really are. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it March 1st to the 8th for my lovely Capricorns. This is your love outlook into a connection between you and a person in your life that's very important to you. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to leave me comments and all of that good stuff. But for right now, Capricorn, have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I'll see you next week for your weekly outlook. Bye-bye now.